Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Isaac Hout, and I am currently a senior at the University of Kentucky, and I'm going to briefly talk about the Psi 399 internship that I am taking with Dr. Hammer. And as I just said, I am currently a senior in my last semester, so if you think that you might be getting into the party a little bit too late, don't worry. It's very feasible to sign up, and you really shouldn't be worrying about that. And I'm just going to be briefly talking about my experiences with it. Just kind of like want to talk about how I briefly heard about it. Dr. Kim originally sent out something, and my friend also took it, and she said that her experiences with it were great. So I thought I'd give it a try. I was interested in counseling psychology, and even if you're not, I still feel like it would be very beneficial. And some of the things that I like about it is you get a feel of what a typical graduate course is like. It's definitely heavy in discussion, and it's kind of away from the status quo that you typically think that a classroom structure is set in. So, like I said, it's really heavily based with discussions. There's no test. There was, I think, one group project, and pretty much like if you engage in the class, you'll succeed, and you learn a lot. It's very interactive. You work one-on-one in mock therapy sessions, so you'll play a client and pick a case of kind of like something that's going on in someone's life and presenting causes and concerns, and you'll tell that to the mock therapist, and they'll work you through a typical counseling session. And once that kind of concludes, I think in towards the end of March we stopped doing that, and now we just have class discussions, which are based on the readings and based on a group project that goes up, and you just pretty much engage in the class. And you get an in-depth look into counseling psychology and what the course load will be like if you were to partake in graduate school for counseling psychology. And even if one is just remotely interested or not very interested, me for one, I was very interested, but even if you're not as fully interested as I was, you definitely want to take part in the internship. You learn some valuable skills that you can pass on into everyday life, and it's not just learning about skills in counseling. You learn very valuable skills about psychology in general, and probably one of the most valuable skills that I took away was in the multicultural section. Haven't really had much experience in that, and we talked about that extensively, and you just kind of like gain new perspectives on that. And the internship is very different, and you are presented with projects to do in your spare time, such as like creating table of contents, videos on counseling psychology, pretty much anything to help out with Dr. Hammer's website that he's doing. And kind of going off of that, Dr. Hammer is very willing to work with you. He's very responsive to the emails, and so if you have any presenting concerns, he will definitely respond in a timely manner. Alright, and now moving on to aspects of the internship that surprised me was mainly number one, the structure of the class. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but typically when you think of graduate school classes, you think of, at least I did, I'm just speaking for myself, but you think of like a lot of tests, a lot of coursework, and that's honestly not it at all. It's heavily based on class discussions and the mock therapy sessions that comprised a lot of our times. And we mainly just watched at the beginning we watched videos on particular therapy techniques, and we would critique them. And one of the biggest surprises that I took away from that was how many critiques there are, and just how many aspects go into counseling in and of itself. There's a lot of considerations to take in, and it was always interesting to see after we watched the videos when we would open up the class discussions, just to see how some people would agree with the particular therapy technique that therapist was doing, and then another half would disagree with it. And we would just kind of like bounce ideas off of each other, and Dr. Hammer would kind of like reel us in and ask questions that we would all think about, and then relay off one another. And it was really interesting to see just how much goes into counseling. It's a lot more complex than one would think, and it takes a lot of practice, and I kind of got a greater appreciation from that, and that was definitely an aspect that surprised me. So moving on to the last thing about what future students or future interns should know before going into the internship. Probably the biggest thing and the immediate thing that I took away was make sure that you're doing the readings. It will make class a lot easier when you go to it. They're really not that bad. It probably will take you an hour or two, and you only meet once a week, so you got plenty of time in between classes to complete the readings. It'll help you follow along and make the class flow, make it go a lot faster, and you'll get the most out of it, which, I'm sure that's what you're aiming for. You're taking this internship because you want to learn a lot. and kind of like boost your resume. So if you want to take the most out of it, definitely do the readings. And something that helps a lot is if you have really good improvising skills, or just can think quick on your feet, because in these therapy sessions, the mock therapist is going to be bouncing ideas off of you really quickly. So you kind of have to be quick on your feet. And there's momentary pauses, just like every therapy session. So you'll have time to think, but it definitely helps if you can think quick on your feet. And there's a learning curve, so don't be too concerned if you feel like this isn't your biggest area. But it's really enjoyable, and like I said, time will go by really fast, especially in the therapy sessions. And it's always important to remember the graduate students are learning just as much as you are, so don't be intimidated by the label of them being graduate students. They're really not that, far off from you. They're only like a year or two older than you, and they're learning just as much as you are, and they're getting critiqued by Dr. Hammer. So don't be intimidated if you feel like you can't work with graduate school students. They're just like you, and there's really no big difference, and they'll help you learn, and you'll help them learn. And that's pretty much it. So I would highly advise taking the Dr. Hammer Sci 399 internship, and yeah, it's a really good time.